Hello everyone and welcome to yet another deck profile in the Journey Together format, and today we're gonna be talking about Gardevoir EX. So for our Pokemon we have 3 Ralts, which evolve into 2 Kirlias, which evolve into 2 Gardevoir, which we're gonna be using as our main attackers and our source of energy acceleration. We also play 3 Mankidori, so that we can move damage from our Pokemon onto our opponents. We play 2 Badoo, just to slow down the game a bit. We play 1 Scrimtail so we can bench snipe. We play 1 Drifloon for the high damage output. We play 1 Lily's Clefairy so that we have a better matchup into decks like Raging Bolt and Dragapult. We play 1 Mew EX as our draw engine. As our draw engine, we also play 1 Pheasantipede EX. We also play 1 Fluttermane as our attacker and to shut off opponent's active abilities. For our supporters, we play 4 Iono for hand disruption. To reset our hand and to discard energies, we play 3 Professor's Research. 1 Mortis Conviction as our draw engine. 1 Arven, and 1 Boss's Orders. For our items, we play 3 Night Stretcher to get the Pokemon from our discard. We play 3 Ultra Ball to get the Evolution Pokemon and hopefully discard some energies. We play 3 Nest Ball to get the basic Pokemon onto our bench. To get some Ralts in play, we play 2 Buddy Buddy Puffin. We play 2 Rare Candy to evolve our Ralts into Gardevoir. We also play 2 Earthen Vessel to search for the energies. We play 1 Counter Catcher because we can be behind in prizes, and as the ace pack of choice we play the Secret Box. So for our Pokemon tools we only play 3 Bravery Charms, which I think is enough. We also play 2 Stadions, and that is the Artisans. And we also play 7 basic Psychic Energies and 3 basic Dark Energies. So, Gardevoir EX, it's an archetype that has been around for quite a while, ever since the E-Block was legal, and once E-Block rotated out, Gardevoir lost the Shining Arcana Gardevoir and the Mirage Step Kirlia, and everyone thought, well, Gardevoir is not gonna be viable anymore. And somehow it resurfaced, gained some very, very good results, especially from really good players that played Gardevoir a lot, like Henry Chow, for example. And once again, Gardevoir in this rotation lost quite a bit, especially the one thing that I think Gardevoir will miss the most is the Refinement Kirlias. The Kirlias that lets you discard 1 card from your hand in order to draw 2, which was an insane consistency card, and every Gardevoir list played like 4 copies of it. And now, currently, there is not as much consistency because of lack of Kirlias, and once again everyone thought, well, Gardevoir is not going to be as viable as it was pre-rotation, but we have been proven wrong once again. Gardevoir lovers just love Gardevoir so much that apparently they made some more consistent list as well, and this one looks kind of like, if you guys remember, the Turbo Gardy that was played a lot pre-rotation with the Rare Candies and Professor's Researches, but that was just to get a head start because Gardevoir used to be a bit slower deck, but this one needs the Professor's Research and Rare Candies. Why? Because we need the Rare Candies because Kirlias are of no use to us right now. Back then, with Refinement Kirlias were draw engines and they were insane consistency cards, but now these Kirlias, they don't have the refinement ability, therefore they are not as valuable as they were in the previous format when we still had the old Kirlias. Professor's research once again. Why? Because we have no real way of getting energies in the discard pile, and Gardevoir needs their energies in the discard pile so they can accelerate the energies onto Drifloon, onto Screamtail, onto all of the attackers, moving up damage onto those Pokemon, moving that damage with Munkidori, the same that everyone knows how Gardevoir mechanic actually works. So that's why we need the Mortis Conviction, which is an interesting tech that I've included over there. So we can discard energy and draw some more cards, just like we used to with Refinement Curlias. That's why we have Professor's Research, so we can discard our entire hand, and we're hoping to use that card with as much energies in our hand as possible. And another interesting tech, at least in my opinion, that I've included is the Fluttermane. Fluttermane is a tech that is not being played a lot, and I think it's kind of being slept on. Why? Because Fluttermane shuts off your opponent's active Pokemon abilities. So, Goldingo, it means they can't draw 2 cards with their active Goldingo. Against Archelodon, it means that they cannot accelerate energy if they evolve from Duraludon into Archelodon. There are still a lot of Pokemon that have abilities in the active that we just want to shut it off so we can play our game instead of them playing their game. And speaking a little bit about the matchups, once again, even in the post-rotation format, Gardevoir is a very 50-50 deck into a vast majority of all the decks there are. However, there are still some very bad matchups, one of which, like I mentioned before, the Archelodon. Archelodon is insanely difficult because it's very tough to be hitting for 300 so consistently. It's very tough to do that because we can only hit for 300 with our Drifloon, which we only have one of. So we rely on getting the Night Stretchers and getting a Night Stretcher plus knockout, Night Stretcher plus knockout 3 times in a row. It's very tough. And it's also very tough in this build, in the post-rotation, to get as much energies in the discard to fill up the Drifloon to make 300 damage. So that's a very tough matchup. Another very tough one is actually a new archetype that arose in the Journey Together, and that is the Ens Zoroark. Why? Well, because it hits for weakness for one, and for the second main reason is because of Ens Darmanitan, which is actually has the same attack as Radiant Greninja used to have, and Manaphy, as we all know, rotated out so they can bench snipe us, which is also not all that great. And talking a little bit about the good matchups, one of the best ones is the same as it was pre-rotation, is the Raging Bolt. And especially since we have the Lily's Clefairy, we can hit Raging Bolts for weakness, which is really good, so we can really take it home with the Raging Bolts. And another really good one is actually, once again, a new archetype, and that is the Ens Hobbs Zacian EX. Why? Because we can easily one-hit knockout them as well. So yeah, but still, in the vast majority, it's very 50-50. So thanks so much for watching, you guys, and catch you next time.